Good morning, everyone. GM. Great open presentation by Fred. I was taking a lot of pictures, taking a lot of notes, but he hit all the points. I think we're at an inflection point with domain names. Very honored to be in the legend, in the presence of all these legends. Everyone here is my OG in the domain space, especially Once. I just got started with domains, and it's been a very passionate thing for me. I show up every day. I'm sure some of you follow me on X with my crazy takes sometimes. But I believe we are at a point where we're going to level up. Some people are going to fall behind, and some people are going to be forward thinking. And one thing I like about this panel is these are the people that actually built the domain industry. So let's start off by doing the intros for Richard all the way back this way.
Sure. I've been in the domain industry 30 years in July, so it's been a while. Yeah, I've had my fingers in over 100 different registrars, lots of domain name startups, domain tools, logo.com, my domain, buy and sell domains, act as a buyer's agent. I have my own portfolio of 4,000 domains, involved with companies that we have almost 500,000 domains. And yeah, rights.com is what I'm known for here. And we launched about 2 weeks ago on the Doma platform. Very excited.
Ammar Kubba. I've also been in the industry for a while. I started out as a competitor of Fred, and now we're friends. So that's pretty cool. In fact, I think competitors by a generous humor. I don't think we liked each other much, but now it's all good, and happy to be part of the what we're doing here. I've really been very bullish on fractionalization and tokenization for a while now, and just been too early. I still think we might be a little early, but we're definitely better to be too early than too late. So I'm happy to be here.
I'm Monte Cahn. I'm in the business for 32 years this month. So 1994 started off. I am the founder of rightofthedot.com, which is the leading live and online auction platform and system for the domain industry. We do all the live auction events and the conferences. I also run a company called Internet Equity, which we're monetizing web traffic and domain traffic on AI build web pages and with high RPMs as an alternative to parking. It's blown away Barbie. And I am also one of the managing directors for .hip hop, which is the new TLD for the hip hop industry. And I have several domain names on the platform. I already took out money on the platform, so it's worked very successfully. I've been a big believer ever since the beginning that domain names are virtual assets and digital assets. I talked about virtual assets back in the early 90s for domain names, and I believe that diversifying your portfolio and fractionalizing domain names while you have them for sale or developing is a great idea, and I think this platform makes a lot of sense. Happy to be here.
Yeah, James McA'Nulty, MillerDrag.com. Been in the industry since like 1995. That's when I registered Bragg. Registered a few other domain names during that time period, and come out of the shadows and finally get to meet all these guys who I've known through Donate the Journal and Donating Forum over here. So I've been kind of keeping my eye on you guys. So it's really amazing to be presence of these guys, and found out about Doma about maybe, I think it was July or August of last year, when I was thinking, maybe it's time to do something again and maybe get rid of Bragg. And that was a hard thing to do until I found out what this was going on with Doma. That's kind of the idea that I had for a long time, and I think these guys can speak to that as well, as the ability, for these creative domain names to be, owned by a larger audience. One.
Well, thank you for the intros. Obviously, these are all seasoned veterans in the business. You've done billions and probably collected with billions in transactions. I don't know. I can say that I know Monty. It's done over 500 million. Probably a record from one of the most largely publicly announced done AI sales. I know Richard is at. Richard, what is your top sale that you can share with us?
Probably a few years ago, we did a set of creditcheck.com and freecreditcheck.com through Monte.
Can you disclose how much you sold it for?
Yeah, it was just over $3 million. Okay.
There you go. So that's proof that the lanes are very malleable. Look, everyone who's been doing domain as long as you guys probably has had some stories about monetizing domains without selling. The primary method or mechanism was domain parking. Is it dead? And what are your thoughts on that? And how do you navigate parking today?
Sure, I'll jump in on that. Domain parking has evolved. It's not dead yet, but
Dying.
yet. But it's definitely evolving. It's Google has basically stepped out of the game, and so that has taken a lot of the supply of the advertising away. So what we're seeing right now in the domain parking is a lot of zero click, and there's a lot of bad actors in zero click. So we're actively fighting against fraud and malware. That's part of the evolution. I think that we'll get through this stage and I'm guessing by the end of the year we'll be more onto RSOC, which is the new protocol for domain parking, and take that there's light at the end of the tunnel for domain parking. Having said that, domain parking is very passive, and the bulk of a lot of domain investors' revenue is for buying and selling domains. And what Doma provides here is also an evolution in generating revenue and the community without actually selling the domain.
So domain parking.
Well, the company I was talking about, when I first met Fred, it was a parking company, and so we were one of the early parking companies that our friend there in the second row was one of the first people that had a big portfolio that was parking out with us. Unfortunately, he didn't like us enough. But so parking has been very kind of roller coaster through the years, and it keeps evolving. And just when you think it's dead, it comes back. But I do believe in this case that it's almost dead. It's on life support. I think it'll come back in a sense, but it's going to be differently. And I think what Fred and Doma are doing here is kind of a hybrid of parking, because it's a monetization passively, but you're also unlocking value, unlocking the liquidity, in the sale. So it's kind of a hybrid where you are selling pieces of small fractions of your asset, and at the same time also making the transaction fees on it. So I do think it's kind of that hybrid, and I like it. I think it's interesting, and I hope that it keeps working.
Parking is an evolution. I was one of the first platforms to use parking back in the go-to days early on. And we're doing some revolutionary things with internet equity, which is using the power of AI to develop content-rich websites that are search engine powerhouses that generate a lot of type in traffic, and then using CPA, lead gen, and also CPC, as well as email monetization to monetize domain names. Much better than parking. But the ultimate goal, obviously, is to raise the value of your asset and then be able to sell that asset one day or monetize it in a big way. So I think that utilizing the Doma platform allows the fractionalization of those domains and allows other people to invest in it, so much as stocks and other types of investments, REITs, the way I look at it. And if you have a more valuable domain name because you have a live website where you have content-driven, linguistically driven domain names, because of that, your value of your domain names are going to go up. Therefore, your fractionalization with shares will rise in value over time. And so that's why this makes a lot of sense for me.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of innovations. So some of them have been around for park and beach or equity deals. But now we have domain tokenization. I believe everyone on the stage has embarked on that journey. You guys all tokenize at least one day, right? Let's hope it changes. You're more of a passive leader. Like, you're not embedded in space as much as these guys. These guys are like,
I once was. I'm just stay free.
yeah. So what has been your experience with Ride.co on Doma? What has it done for that name? How much have you unlocked? Tell us a story in short.
Sure. Okay. So I was able to I didn't really want to sell very much of it. It's a brand new platform. I spoke to the Susan that I'm part of the team there, and we came up with a figure that I felt comfortable with, and that they said, okay, this would be help the honor. So I put 6%, I believe, of the whole tokens on right.
So control over 90%.
Right, yeah. And I'm still receiving that as the platform. I believe I'll get the rest of all the tokens over a vested period until a 1 year period. So I think December 10th is when it was launched on Doma. And so we put about 60,000 points, and it bonded, I think, in a day and a half. And there was the layer 2 Ethereum, is what Doma was based on. And, that came to be, I believe, that USDC Doma protocol, which is swapped onto, right, drums.
In summary, how much have you unlocked from the yes.
Dollar amount. I believe it came to just on that initial sale was something in the neighborhood of 45 to 50. Something
And
like
you
that.
also earned from the trade.
A transaction.
I looked it up yesterday, something about 15,000. So all the years you've owned that, how much have you earned?
How much have I earned from both parking? So parking, so I had Kia.com. That was what you okay, yeah. Oh, for parking. Just having it there on transaction fees. I think probably just transactions close to 8,000. The
Market
from just having it right there, not doing a thing with it. Just give it a 3 it's been an increase. Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, that's a bit. Mostly, what was your experience with Doma?
So I launched, I think I have 8 or 9 names launched on the platform now. Investors.xyz was the first one I launched and the most successful one so far. It's certainly not the most valuable name on the platform, given its extension, but it's a premium.xyz name. And
There goes Smarty. The best name of the platform.
No, not the best name, not the most valuable name, but it is one of the most popular names. From the subdomain standpoint, I think it's the biggest thing. A lot of subdomains built off of it. So this was a name I invested in. A lot of premium.xyz. I put for names at the very beginning, premium, keyword names. So there's one of them. And so when Susan and Fred said, hey, once you pull this over, it would make sense for our platform, I was like, sure. There's not that many offers on it. Let's see what it does on the platform. And then immediately it got bonded, and I already pulled about $7,000 out of it. And my sale price on the domain name was just under $18,000 anyway. So it's already paid off on my page. And it's only 20%, share for the public. So I kept 80% share. So it made a lot of sense. And then I launched hightech.xyz, and similar situation is happening with that domain. Yeah, now just yesterday or 2 days ago, I launched a couple more. So I'm excited to see what the future for you.
So you get full advantage of this new technology.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, again, I believe that diversification of your portfolios are important. To put them all up for sale or put them all on parking or to put them all on a certain thing doesn't make sense in today's day and age. So when I diversify, spread your portfolio across different platforms to make as much money as you can and to increase the value. So I believe this platform is a vehicle to increase value, to prove liquidity, which is the most important thing in this business. Even though we're 30-year-old industry or whatever, it's still, not even in the first ball game, in my opinion. And so it's only going to go up from here, not down. So I believe that with more marketability from the platform and getting more investors involved from, different countries, that this thing take off and become very fruitful.
Yeah, I just want to say that it's much more parking wasn't very sticky. In my opinion, some would go to the site like what it was on, Costa Rica.com or something like that. Great geo domain, that you could get a lot of probably travel agencies, airlines, hotels, so many different things. And you can maybe through parking, you could have it look like a site. You can do that with Doma, but what's more sticky is that you actually buy a piece of Costa Rica.com, you become a holder. And what that provides is a sort of instant community of holders that have a self-interest, making sure that Costa Rica.com or whatever domain I can have is a success. So
Essentially, what you're saying is it's the lane for the Anatolian market. Everything else with place market, right? You can still do what you're doing, and so can I as an walk with.
and right now, because of AI, quiet coding agents, you could put your parking on
So I guess the Vicuna thing, I have a question out there. I remember when you bought Bowling.com and Newscom, and I thought it was hilarious, right? It was like, you bought it for $30,000?
And I'm sure Monty's going to.
Just to say it was a big purchase.
Yes, it was definitely initially.
Was it $45,000?
No, it was under 20, I believe. It was more.
I think it was 30. You don't remember.
It was
It's our domain invested, so you can buy it, so don't ever spend $35.
Yeah, it was so. Really, we did kind of. I bought it with Drew Rosner. We were bidding against each other. We said we should just share a boner together, and
Which is fractionalization by itself.
but yeah. So originally we bought it as a joke, and then
$30,000 joke.
yeah. Why I knew we weren't going to lose money on it. It's a good name. But one of the other people we were bidding against is Rob Schutz, who's the founder or co-founder of Row.co. And so right after that, we bought it. I was talking to him, and I'm like, okay, how we monetize this? So I put it on a forward where they created a page for us, and on the Row.co site, and it got a lot of traffic, and I left it there for at least 90 days, maybe 180 days, and it did a lot of traffic, not a single conversion. So I'm like, this doesn't make sense. So, and then I think it was around that time when Fred or Susan or somebody reached out about what they're doing, and I said, well, what do you think about this? Because after the Row.co experiment wasn't working, then we had another idea. We wanted to launch our own UK. And we went down that road. But like most domainers, we can't do anything. Well, in terms of development, we're only good at one thing. And so when that didn't work, I said, all right, Fred, let's try this. And it's been like, I'm truly surprised. In a good way. I think I checked this morning. I believe we have taken out almost $30,000, and so we definitely paid for the asset, and we have another 24, I think, available to take out. And this is without actively trying to extract the maximum value of these coins. This is just sitting there, and that includes transaction fees. And so in whatever it is, 90, 120 days on Doma, we've already unlocked more than the entire time I had it on the other platform, which was a more traditional kind of CPA play. So it's working, and doesn't mean it works for everything, but it worked for us. And I'm really happy with it. And the other thing I'm missing was a good point that you guys made was you can actually still, if you want to park the old-fashioned way, you can still park your name and fractionalize it. Like, We happen, I believe, we're forwarding ours to the Doma page, but you don't have to. So you could still park it and make your money that way and fresh.
Which is why they still development.
Right, you can do anything. Yeah. But again, domainers are lazy. We are lazy. So that's
You get passive, like passive income.
some are lazy.
Most people are lazy, I'll tell you that.
Well, Monty invented the internet apparently, because
Yeah, we write. I was on this panel here. I was the last one to launch. It's been just over 3 weeks since we relaunched rides.com on Doma. And I'll say the same word. I've been surprised at how active the volume of the trading is. I think we do, we've gotten almost 1.8 billion in transactions in those 3 weeks. And yeah, I'm surprised about the uptake. The idea for rides.com for me is that, no pun intended, but that we allow these token holders to come along for the ride. The big buyout here for rides.com is for one of the big four to come along and purchase it. It's a no-brainer, right? Whether it's Uber or, like you said, Zoox, which is to me is a terrible name. I don't know how anyone would spell it without saying it. Never so it's good. I think of it as an alien name. Anyway, or whether it's going to be Elon Musk, or Waymo, but someone's going to come along and purchase it. So in the meantime, I feel like building a bit of a community with the token holders, and they can come along. And with what we see on the uptake on Rise.com, I'm this morning talking about creating an even larger one that will more a long-term hold, but will be built more about the community and what people can use their subdomain or the email address to be add on to for the token holders to have once they join the Doma community or that domain.
Yeah, I think this is proof that it's working. For me, we just launched Trenches.ai yesterday. I could disclose amongst friends and world. It was a name that I reached out to, former user of Vive. We agreed on $1,300, and I've already unlocked $1,600 in 1 day of being on the platform. So I've already paid for that asset, and I still control 80%. So you extrapolate that over hundreds of portfolios or whatever, and then you have the years where more people understand what you accept. I think this is very promising. Everyone talks about developing domains, buy coding, but monetizing AI generated sites is a different story altogether. So I think this provides a real sustainable way to work with. What do you guys think about the concept of monetizing by developing? Ammar, you mentioned domains are easy, right? And vibe coding is getting easier. I see Rich Schwartz talk about the baseball challenge. I have my thoughts on that. What do you guys think about that specific case study? Where he's taking over premium domain names, and as opposed to any tokenizing them, he's asking people to build on them. Do you think that's going to see all the way to Richard to secure answer?
Yeah, I mean, here I am, right? So I agree that domainers are generally lazy. I keep myself in that category. Having said that, I've spent many years developing out resume.com. We built that out to 4 million users, 15 staff, sold it to indeed.com. Took the summer off, then launched logo.com, which has been a 7-year project. We're at 10 employees. And
you mentioned 10 employees. These are actual businesses.
This is business.
They're not just websites.
No, it's just developing it out, right? This is like taking it out of our inventory of really good premium domains and working. It's an insane amount of work, So to be able to look at category defining domain names that are at the same category to me as resume.com, logo.com, rise.com. Whether, we've got ones like insane.com that we're looking at putting onto the Doma platform, and it is a lot easier that road is very tempting to be able to build this out and by putting it onto a platform instead of that to build the platform. So yeah, it's to us it's exciting times. And so when I'm looking at Doma and what I'm putting things on, it's either looking at it as putting on a portfolio, like maybe put on a portfolio of 4,000 domains. Also, those are true words, or putting on domains that we've paid at least six figures for. I have got the $18,000 domain that deal that I'm not as good as a buyer as Ammar is. But Rhymes.com, Insane.com, Logo.com, Resume.com. These are all 6 and 7 figure domains that we purchased. I purchased. We're not just lucky people that hand registered these domains. So to me, looking at whether do we build these out or do we put them onto a platform that the D3 and Doma are spending millions of dollars building, it's a no-brainer. I don't have it in beat to another Resume.com or Logo.com 7-year, 8-year, 10-year build-out with 10 employees.
Wait, as much as people talk about how AI makes it easier, it also is bringing more competitors into what you're doing, Resume.com, because someone can create a website with less gridlock now and use all XCLB. So I think it's awesome that they have this option for sure. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'll also say I think getting the names on a platform breaks for visibility. So even if I'm too lazy to fill it out, though I do have aspirations of vibe coding and trying to learn some of that. But even if I'm too lazy to build it out, if I get more visibility and more eyeballs on the name, maybe one of the community members wants to build it out, right? And then that helps everybody. And it also gets, or they I want to buy it, but
A partner.
either way, right? Yeah. So you just open up more options for yourself. So I see it like there's not a lot of downside. Is my perspective.
Yeah, I think maybe feedback for you, Fred, is as you build out these sites, because these communities will grow, maybe there should be an opportunity for people in the communities to actually contact the owner directly. I think that would be a great idea. No, I don't.
To your point with what Brick is doing, it's very smart because it's as the domain king is his and a pioneer in his particular segment, premium domaining, holding out with big dollar. One thing Rick isn't is a developer. And so what he did, he was very smart. He said, hey, I have his names I've been sitting on for years that are worth millions of dollars. Why not share the proceeds and share the ownership if somebody can build and turn into a big business? Because I'm certainly not going to sit there and do that. I'm an agent. Even with this great AI agent, Betty, she's not going to do it. So several people in the room actually signed on to the challenge and they're building up websites, and he's giving, decent prizes away at Bentley. And next year it's going to be, an apartment in South Beach and something else bigger the year after that.
It's a form of tokenization, but it's off-chain, right?
Yeah, so he's developing, and 1 out of the 10 is probably going to be hit good, or maybe 2 or 3 out of 10 because domain names are really good. And he'll either do a 50-50 rev share partnership and ownership, or he'll do 80-20, depending if that person's going to take over the whole project, put money in. And again, we talked to him at depth about it at the domain gathering in South Florida, and he's like, look, been sitting on these things forever. I'm still in the philosophy of holding out for the biggest dollar. Sometimes that's going to come, sometimes it's not, but why not turn it into a business now? And then, what we're doing with some of our portfolio, well, like Atlanta.com and Cuba.com is we're building out those websites with AI-driven content, with CPA offers, all this types of things. It's to my point, is that now you can have a website for sale versus a domain name for sale, something that's generating revenue and traffic, and becomes a lot more valuable than just a plain domain. So that's really, really important, especially how parking has changed, shifted. People sitting around on big portfolios waiting for dollars to come in every month. That's not happening anymore. You've got to do something and move on those assets, or else you're going to be sitting on them forever and diving. And that's not what anybody.
Fred, you showed earlier what AI, the agentic shift, to summarize it. Quick question for everyone so we can wrap up. If it was hit the minute each. With AI agents and AI, vibe coding, and tokenization, all these shifts happening, what do you think about the future of domain investing?
I think I just come back to it's all evolving, right? And so we've all been in the business for decades, and we just see these things coming along, whether it's AI vibe coding or not. Everything takes time, and each of us is getting older, and we only have so many hours in the day. So being able to bring other partners in, whether it's through tokenization or whether it's through bringing in someone who wants to take the time to do the live coding. Because it's interesting. I take a look at shore.com. I vibe coded that website on a 6-figure domain. But it's ideas are a dime a dozen. It's the implementation that is really important here. And so as these different things come along, whether it's our stock, vibe coding, this platform, it takes time, and we've only got so many hours in the day. So, like you said, if you raise the awareness, somebody else then comes along and says, "Hey, I'll build this out for you," or "I'll think it over." I think we're all open to all of these things. So, and we just look at these different platforms as tools. So Doma is a tool for us to extract value when it's locked, right? These are high value domains that, in many cases for me, I haven't earned anything from rights.com in the 14 years I've owned it. So this is a great way to unlock that value. And at Casablanca.
I think that the tokenization or fractionalization is going to be the next unlock for our industry. And I really love the portfolio concept. And it allows you to take, if you want, to unlock some liquidity, and then you can either reinvest and buy even more names, right? Which, if you're very bullish, that's what you would do. Or maybe you unlock and take some money off for yourself, so that it gives you the luxury to not have to sell if you do need some cash, or it just gives you more options and more optionality. And as far as, people talking about AI is going to kill domains, I think quite the opposite, because the agents, you got to build trust with the agents, and what better way to build trust than to have a premium domain name? And even though everything's AI, we're still human and not AI, and we still want to be able to recognize a brand. And so, the way a brand proves itself is through its domain name. And everything still runs on domains. They're backbone, everything. So, I think it's going to only get better and more valuable for us. It will evolve, and you have to maybe change what assets you're going after and how you buy. But I think it's only going to get better.
I think it opens up a whole new world of investors to industry. So when we all got in, developing a website was very hard, very expensive, very difficult. So we were looking at it, a raw land purchase. Someone could build the hotel. So you buy beachfront property, someone's going to build the sky-rise building, or you buy a block on, in Manhattan that gets a lot of traffic. Someone's going to build a store or whatever, because we weren't developers. In 1994, 1995, through their own, even through up to 2000s, building a website was hard. There wasn't AI. There wasn't template-driven websites. It had to be hard-coded with PHP and COBOL, all these open languages. And now AI makes it a lot different. So you think about an investment.
Did you invent the program?
Yeah, you know that. So with AI, and you break down the barrier, or lower the barrier to entry, you have a lot more adoption and acceptance. So therefore, the ability to invest in the industry is going to be a lot bigger and better. And just like you couldn't buy Microsoft as a company when you could buy shares, and even partial, Robinhood gives you the ability to buy fractions of shares, like $5 worth. This is the same kind of concept. So it allows the mainstream economy, the mainstream investment community, they will get into something they've been hearing about for the last 20, 30 years, but didn't know what to do about it. Now it gets them to do so. So I think it's very, very big positive for the industry.
Prior to that, you had to be accredited investor and more evolved with the domain name, right? So now it gives the opportunity for everyone larger globally, right? So the doors are open to that. Future of domain investing, is that what the question was? So there's going to be a lot of TLDs that are be coming out. I think the hot ones right now are XYZ.ai, I would say. Is that more or less it? Yes, that. There may be another one that will come along. Also up here soon.
Ancient. But we got to wrap up. So round of applause for these legends. Actually, we have some time for some Q&A, I guess.
Anyone in the audience have any questions for our panelists?
Hey, everybody. Sorry I'm late, guys, but Vegas. Question for you. All right, so let's say you do have a name out there. It's not the best name out there, I'd say it'd probably be somewhere a bit on the spectrum. What would be the best way of monetization? Do you think that, new platforms like what Doma is doing are going to lead the way? Or I would say with a mid name in particular, do you think it's better to put it on platform, or is it better to actually build out? I guess my main question, if I were to summarize it all up, do you think it's still valuable to be able to build on names? Let's say you had like owner.com, something like that. Is it still good to, build on names like that? Or should you leave it to Doma?
I think that's a very individual question, right? Or it's answered depending on.
All right, so man, let's do this live. All right, so the name is armpits.com. So let's say you had a name like armpits.com. What would you do with that?
Armpits?
Armpits? Got two of them.
Yeah, I do. Again, so that's a great brandable, right? And very conducive to some kind of viral marketing, right? So if you have the time, energy, and the desire, I'd say there's no harm in trying to build it out, right? Like there's no reason not to. But what we've been saying is they're not mutually exclusive. So you could put armpits on to Doma, fractionalize it. And in fact, what you could do is put it on Doma, fractionalize it, take some of that cash, invest it in the build, right? So it's kind of like they kind of go well together. And so, but to follow up on what you were asking earlier, I think if you are a person who had a lot of names like that, what you could also do is, that's why I was kind of bullish on was portfolio concept, right? So you could basket them up and tokenize them, and then take some cash out that way, and maybe apply that towards a build out. But it's kind of really just everybody has their own path.
Right, because any investment platform, though, the asset has to be popular enough for people to make the investment. So if it's a name that doesn't make sense to anyone, or if it's a name that is not attractive, then you're not going to get the results, whether it's Doma or any other platform. So that name actually has to, it's definitely to be sticky, no pun intended, or can be used for other things, because it's it's two keywords. It's part of it's a body bar, as linguistic beauty. So you got a lot of advantages there. You never know, it could be repurposed for something that people weren't even thinking about. Besides, something smelly or stuff people don't want to talk about, it could be turned into something that's very viral and popular, like a deodorant, lead gen site to a deodorant company, or sweating during workouts, stuff like that.
We're New Jersey. I was born in New Jersey, so I could say that. But yeah, that's a great one, because that, I would say maybe tokenizing it on Doma, and then, part of it, we're talking about this the other day. We said, sorry, internal currency, sorry, meat coin. Oh, aren't this large, not Solana? I'll flush it. See something like that.
I think the summaries you have part of homes, and what's all is traditionally there. Now you have monetization, which is a very early option. I think in the future, tokenization will increase its, relevance in terms of the options we have. And that's exciting.
We get another question over here.
Hi, good morning. My name is Dubik. So the Doma platform, because it's what I like about it is step one, where we built the monetization by Magic Pie. Can you hear me now? Thank you. So the tokenization is step one to unlock the monetization, right? So I was talking to Fred yesterday. Now, it depends on the when the buyout event happened, right? That's when you really cashed out, right? In the meantime, can we add an option of lease so that, if somebody who can really develop the business out of it and test it out so that you can earn revenue out of the lease money and the business cannot, if they can survive and buy it out also. So that was the thought process. And the second thing was to bring in the developer because, now we can the exposure of the domains out there, right? Now, if we have a resource who can build a business out of it, then it's going to work it out, right? Because otherwise, it's just another platform where we have a bunch of domains that are listed.
I think that, the first question is more of a question for the Doma team, but I would say just, logically, you could lease it out because you're not being prevented, just like you can park it, right? You can point the name servers wherever you want. So if if you want to lease it, you can just point the name servers to that person. And that, will allocate the profits however you see fit.
That's correct, Fred, right? Because you still maintain majority ownership, so you can still do what you want on that.
That's correct. You can you still control the supply. You could decide what you want to do as the owner. If you strike a deal with developers, special business development agreements, Doma is just a platform, right? And if you do sell a subdomain and actually use it, that's the current construct that we have off the shelf. There's a lot more creative contracts that you as a buyer or dev shop or an owner can strike directly.
What was the second question? Maybe summarize it.
The second question was to see if you can, add some AI building websites out of that, right? So that we can, like the rise.com, right? If we can have some kind of AI website built out of it, so people see the value that rise.com is valuable like Uber or Lyft. So then that can be a potential buyer who can see, yes, there's a value out of it.
Yeah, just like what Ammar was saying about ARPITs, you don't have to have Rise.com pointing to the Doma platform. Right? You can actually be building it out. I could vibe code a website on it and have drivers that are working for the different companies have their own profiles. So you could build it out to have 200, 300,000 profiles of different drivers. So they, you can favorite your favorite Uber driver, all kinds of different things. But you can. There's no stopping you from developing or vibe coding or using AI to generate your website while also participating on the Doma tokenization.
And that increases the value if you have something that's better than just a stagnant domain and it's, has content on it. Typically, or, if you die right, it would be more valuable, so more people would want to invest in that because the upside's bigger.
We're going to leave with this. You have full DNS control. There are people who have managed to make millions of dollars with just subdomains. For example, is IC.com. We sold, I think, over 100,000 subdomains. People pay for renewal every year. I believe you should be able to do this on Doma as well. If you wanted to say maybe have premium subdomains for a name that's fitted, you could say, this allows access to certain perks, kind of like what NFT's called utilities. So it's very early, and I think people will find creative ways to utilize the platform for sure. But we got to wrap. I know other people are waiting. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy the show.